Perfect. All right. So again, hi everyone. My name is Buki Abdul. I'm one of the career coaches here at the University of Tennessee, the Center for Career Development and Academic Exploration. And so in my role, I work with English students or students interested in the communications, arts, media, entertainment industry, and I also work with students interested in hotel and tourism and all of that industry as well. So that is a little about me. And today we're here to talk about teaching English abroad, what that is like, what the process is, how to get involved. And to help us with that, we have Rebecca Bennett. And Rebecca is a 2019 alumna of civil engineering right here at UT. And so Rebecca graduated in May of 2019, and she currently teaches English at the Language House in Prague, Czech Republic. And so Rebecca will tell us about her process, how she got into it. She would present for a while and then would have the floor open for questions from you all. And I have some questions prepared as well in case that would be very helpful. But at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca and then she will take us through what we have for today. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, of course. All right, so I'm Rebecca Bennett, like she said, and I graduated from UT a few years ago, and I actually graduated in engineering, so not related to English at all. I worked as an engineer for a few years in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I moved to Prague, Czech Republic last September, and I teach English here, and I really love it. So I have a presentation to help me. All right, so teaching English abroad. These are some photos I've taken in Prague. All right, so why should you teach abroad? These are the reasons I think it's a great thing. You can travel to a lot of places if you live in another country where there's many countries surrounding it. Like the US is so big, it's hard to get to another country. This is me and some friends in Berlin, Germany. You can experience another culture. I knew nothing about Czech culture before I got here, but it's really exciting. And I have a lot of friends from other countries, so I'm learning about their cultures as well, like Italy, Albania, Germany. Another reason why you can teach abroad is it is meaningful work. Like I worked as an engineer in an office and it was fine, but it feels a lot more meaningful, the work I do here, because I am with students one-on-one or in groups and can see their progress and see how they appreciate learning English from a native speaker. So I find it more meaningful to have having relationships with my students. You can teach short term, you can do it long term. I know people who teach abroad and they only do it for maybe a year, maybe two, and then stay abroad and do a different job. Or some people like teaching and do it for a long time. You can make a lot of international friends. Like I was saying earlier, I have a lot of friends from other countries. They live here. Prague is a big city full of expats. So people from the US, a lot of people live here, and like from other countries in Europe, a lot of people move here as well. And future opportunities. I know a lot of people who started off teaching English in another country and then through that made connections and got a different job in another country, and like, I don't know, marketing, publishing, anything. So it can open doors. Your students can be your connections. All right, so how to teach abroad? First, you will have to get a TEFL certificate, and TEFL stands for Teaching English as a Foreign Language. So almost anyone who's going to hire you in any country around the world will want a TEFL certificate, and they really like a university degree. So it's good if you get your degree from UT. Any university degree they like. But the TEFL degree or TEFL certificate is important. It's usually a 4-week course that you take, and they teach you how to teach. And the TEFL certificate, it's internationally recognized, so you get it once and you can use it pretty much in any country, teaching anywhere. Like I can move to another country and use the same TEFL. I never have to do it again. You can also use it a lot of places to teach online. So choosing a TEFL course, that is something you will think about if you want to teach abroad. Look for one that's at least 120 hours. If it's less than that, it's probably not a real TEFL course, and people probably won't hire you for that. You can do them in person or online. I did mine in person in Prague here, and I would recommend doing it in person if you can, because you will get student teaching hours. So in my TEFL course, which it was 4 weeks, I taught 9 different group classes of English, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when it's your first 9 classes teaching like 10 adult students, it is a lot, but it was so helpful. That's the best way to learn how to teach, and it really prepared me for, like, after the course, getting a job and teaching many more hours than that a week, like for actual money. It helped a lot doing student teaching. So I think in person is more helpful, but there are also online courses everywhere for TEFL courses if you need to do that. The one I did, which I'll talk about just because I loved it so much, is the Language House Prague. I just found it online and went for it. I trusted them that it was real and that it was going to be here. But it's a 4-week intensive course, like I said, lots of student teaching hours. They give lots of help. They teach you so much about teaching. They give a lot of job assistance, like how to find a job either in Prague, somewhere else in the Czech Republic, or other countries. They really help you find a job, which was very nice because I moved here with no job lined up, nothing. They also helped a lot with housing, finding an apartment here, and getting my visa here, which I'll talk more about visas. And they have like a huge network of graduates that they keep connected. So if you want to teach in like somewhere in Asia, they will connect you with some grads that have taught in Asia before or are teaching in Asia, and they'll explain to you what they did. So I'm really glad I did the Language House. There's other ones in Prague, so, or other places. There's ones in France, I don't know, other countries, ones online, but I can only recommend this one. So where can you teach once you've gotten your TEFL certificate? You can teach pretty much almost anywhere. I know people who teach in countries all over Europe, people who teach in Asia. I have a friend who just moved to South Korea to teach, but the main thing is looking at visa requirements. That is how you will be able to legally live and work in another country. So some of the visa requirements in Europe are kind of difficult for Americans to work. The Czech Republic has a good one. That's kind of why I choose to move here. The Czech Republic has what they call a živno. It's a freelancer visa, and any American can apply for it. And I'm a freelancer, so I teach a bunch of different students at a bunch of different schools, and then I send an invoice every month to them and they just pay me. So I'm not an employee for anybody, which is nice because if I quit a job, it's fine. I can quit. I can get hired other places very easily. I know for Spain and a lot of countries in Asia, they do like government programs you can sign up for. But yeah, really the visa is your main ticket to how you are going to live and work in another country. So that's something to look up. Okay, so life in Prague. This is about my experience in Prague. So you can teach many different places. I teach here. I only have experience here. But like I said, I'm a freelancer, so it is so easy to create my own schedule here. I can take students when I want them. I can choose, I can choose like my own, I can choose to start later in the day or finish earlier in the day. Some days I have a light day, so I only work a few hours. It's easy to move lessons around sometimes. So there's a lot of flexibility depending on what you do. And there's so many options of what you can do teaching. You can work part-time or full-time at a school. And when I say school, I mean either a school for kids or a language school for adults. So you can teach adults, kids, you can teach online. There's a lot of online platforms you can teach at. So what I do is I teach mostly kids in a school, but I do that part-time. And the other lessons I have, I do adults online and I do a few kids online as well. But I do like little kids, like 3 through 6 at a school, and then I do 5th grade at a school, and I really like that. I also like the adults because you can kind of get to know like your students, like the adults I teach, like they tell me about their life, their culture, and like it's cool. But there's so much flexibility in who you want to teach. Some people hate kids, they only want to teach adults. Some people work full-time at a school with kids and they get full-time benefits. But there's so many options. And in Prague, there is excellent public transportation. They have buses, trams, metros. It's really easy to get anywhere, and the city is really well connected. Like it takes me usually like 30 minutes max to get anywhere using public transportation. And I mean, 30 minutes might sound like a lot, but you're not driving, you're on the tram, so you can do other stuff. I don't know if anyone knows where Prague or Czech Republic is, but it's Central Europe. So it's very close to other large European cities like Berlin, Vienna, Budapest. Those are all very close. Poland borders it, like Warsaw or Krakow, Poland. Yeah, a lot of other cities are close. It's easy to get to. And the city is very beautiful, lots of architecture. Yeah, it's a gorgeous city. All these pictures in the presentation I've taken from just being around the city. And the cost of living here is really good for English teachers. So, and anyone else, any other job, but it's easy to make a living here and, have enough money to pay rent and still do fun things. All right, so if you want more info, I can leave this up during questions, but on YouTube, these are things I looked at before I moved abroad, but the Language House has a lot of YouTube videos about life in Prague or teaching abroad. Dream Prague as well. It's a girl who she moved to Prague to teach like probably, I don't know, like 12 years ago or something. And they both also put stuff on Instagram that's helpful. You can see like a day in the life of an English teacher, or I don't know, just other posts about Prague, which that's specific to Prague. But same with Facebook, Pack Your Bags and Move to Prague. That's a good group to join if you have questions or interested in moving abroad. I know that there's lots of other groups for other countries. Like I was in one for Spain because I thought I would teach in Spain originally. So looking for Facebook groups and asking questions, you can find a lot of information. And then both of these websites have more information on teaching abroad and probably could answer most questions you have. But you can also ask me. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have. And also, like, I did do the Language House. So if you ever like mention someone that you know that went there, so you can mention me, you can get like a discount there. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have. So questions?
Thank you so much, Rebecca. It was short, but it had a lot of information that was very helpful. So I'm going to see this on the screen for now as we answer some questions, just in case you get this part down. So we're going to open it up for questions. And if you have questions, you can either put it in the chat or unmute yourself, whatever you're more comfortable with. And people are putting things in the chat, I just have some questions here that I kind of like thought about, right? So how intensive was the certification course?
TEFL?
TEFL.
Yeah. Okay, good question. It was very intense. Like, it took up a lot of time. Like, I had weekends off, but occasionally I did go to school on the weekend. I did an extra certification, a young learner certification. So it costed like $140, I think, like US dollars extra. And I got a separate certification for teaching kids, like young learners. So I did that one weekend. But anyways, yeah, it was pretty intense, like, because you're going to school in the morning and then in the afternoon you have like lesson planning time for a few hours, and then in the evening you teach. So it's a lot of work for 4 weeks, but I felt really prepared after it, and it was really easy to find a job, I will say. Like, I moved at a good time because it was after COVID. There weren't a lot of people here, like expats here, native speakers here. So there was a lot of jobs available, and it was really easy for me to find a job. I could be really picky with what I chose because I was like well prepared. And like some jobs, they want you to give a demo lesson. So you like give a fake lesson. And I felt really prepared and comfortable with that, even though I had never taught before. And like, I don't particularly like public speaking or talking in front of people, but it got a lot easier because I practiced it a lot teaching.
Thank you so much for that. I think the fact that you mentioned you not liking public speaking, but you still excel in this position just says a lot that, hey, you don't have to be a great public speaker, or you don't have to, really enjoy it for you to be able to teach English. I like that. So there's a question in the chat, and I'm going to read it out. It says, how much language experience did you have in Czech before you moved?
Yeah, okay, good question. I had zero knowledge of the Czech language, absolutely none. I still have very little knowledge of the Czech language, and I know people who have lived here for like 4 or 5 years and don't speak any Czech. Obviously, it's better if you can learn, like when you get here, you'll quickly learn the basics like hello, goodbye, thank you, that kind of thing. I still struggle like with food, even though like knowing what food items are. A lot of people speak English here. I mean, some don't. At some of my schools, like none of the teachers speak English, only Czech. So that can be difficult, but I don't usually need to talk to them. But yeah, I'm starting to learn Czech now. I'm doing a little bit. I'm hopefully going to take lessons soon, but moving here, I knew none. And it's a really hard language. I think it's like the 7th hardest language in the world to learn or something. It's very different, but I mean, yeah, a lot of people speak English here, which is nice. And occasionally I've had to use my like phone translator, but yeah.
Yeah, I see another question in the chat. It says, were you open to working in any country teaching English, or did you go with the country or countries in mind, or even just a region?
Yeah, so I had always wanted to live abroad and like travel more, like ever since college. And so this was kind of how I did that. So I've always wanted to do this. And I didn't know where at all I wanted to go. I thought probably Europe because I've been a few places in Europe before I moved here. So I did a lot of research, honestly, before I moved. I quit my job and then I did like a ton of research. I was looking into Spain as well because they have a lot of government programs you can apply for. That's kind of the only way you can get a visa is you have to apply through a government program. But then I found Prague and like a lot of blogs on like teaching in Prague and people who have done it before, and learned about that and how the visa's somewhat easy to get here. And then I really liked the TEFL program I found here that I did. It looked really like reputable and like it was very like intense but very good. So I did that, and then I just kind of decided, I was like, okay, like Prague, like I'd read enough people's like reviews and testimonies of them moving to Prague and how it was for them, and they liked it. So I was like, yeah, I'll try it, like even if it's just for a year here, and then I can move somewhere else, like use the same TEFL and move somewhere else. So I only decided a few months before I moved here that I was going to go to Prague. I had no idea where, but now that I live here, I don't want to, like I'm definitely going to be here next year. I probably will be here at least a few years, maybe, I don't know, longer. I really like it here though.
That's good. Thank you. So I think you mentioned you've been to Europe before you finally went for study abroad. So was it a study abroad program, like when you went to Europe, or was it just like for leisure, or was it study abroad?
Yeah, I did study abroad through UT only for like a month in the summer. I did a summer study abroad. And I went to Italy and I loved it. I loved it in Italy. I'm hoping to go visit there soon. Um, and then before that, I had been to London and Paris just for travel. But I think when I studied abroad, because I lived there, I guess, like I was there for 4 weeks, so it felt like I lived there. I was like, oh yeah, I really love this. Like I would love to live in another country again. And I think that's what made me want to do it. And a few years later, I did it. Yeah. So yeah, studying abroad was a good travel spark.
Okay, that's good. I love it. So study abroad is a good thing to do, right?
Yeah, I would recommend it.
Okay, all right, cool. So someone says in the chat, how is the pay or benefits like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good question. It varies a lot. Most people work like, so on the visa, you have most people work for multiple schools, multiple different students. Like you can have students that just pay you directly. So you can set your prices for like for an hour of teaching with like individuals, and then schools will usually tell you like this is how much you're paid. And it really varies from school to school, but it's it's pretty easy to make like enough to like live on like comfortably. Like I make enough for like rent and like food and like doing travel on the side. Like I'm not right now, like I wouldn't say I'm making like savings like by any means, but like plenty to live on. And I think like your first year is definitely the toughest because you go the longest of like being unemployed, like you're unemployed during the TEFL program, and then it might take a few weeks to find a job. It took me a few weeks because I was really picky with the job and I took a vacation. So I think your first year is the toughest from everyone I've heard here, like financially. So it is good to have like some savings before you move. But I think like after your first year, like you can get pay increases and you can I don't know, you might be better, so you can take on more hours, or you might transition out of teaching and get paid better at a different job. Other jobs will pay better. And then as far as benefits, I'm not an employee anywhere, so I don't get any benefits. I have to pay my own like social and health insurance. But you can work for a school like for kids, not for adults, but you can work for a school for kids and be like full-time there, and they'll pay pretty well and they'll pay your taxes. They'll give you like health insurance. You'll have like a couple meals a day provided at the school, or you'll get a meal voucher. You can get like a sport card for different activities. So there are options like of jobs for benefits. I know people who like worked full-time in a school. I just didn't want to do that. So it really varies. It depends on what you want, and it depends on how much you like grind for pay. Like you got to find the schools and language schools that'll pay you more.
So I have a question or two questions. I think the first one is, so in terms of you saying like the first year of when you're unemployed is like the most difficult year, it would be, can you, so is it better or is it advisable to just do the TEFL program right here in the US before you, like online, before you travel? And then once you travel, you're looking for a job and then you start the job almost immediately. Or what would you say about that?
Yeah, I think that you could do that. Like I said, like I think a TEFL in person is much better. Like it's a lot more useful and you'll get a lot more experience and more like bang for your money. But if that's not accessible, like doing something online and then moving here, I think there's nothing wrong with that. And I think like it was just like there's just startup costs moving anywhere, especially abroad. Like the plane ticket moving abroad is a lot. And then like you have to pay for a few months, like, well, 1 month of rent and then a deposit for like your housing. It's like moving anywhere. Like there's just startup costs of like buying or renting an apartment and then like living for a little bit while you're looking for a job. You can find a job while you're still in the TEFL program if you're dedicated. I just didn't make the time for it. But yeah, I think like I moved here or in my TEFL program, there was like 20 of us and a few people left to go home after the TEFL, but everyone else is still living here and they're surviving and making money. So it's doable. Like, yeah, I don't know. Just like be prepared for the costs, but I think you could take it online. But as far as getting a job, everyone's gonna want you to be here for a job interview for the most part. I don't think they're gonna hire you if you're still in the States.
Thank you for that. So I'm seeing two things in the chat, like questions.
Mhm.
So you said, did your TEFL program help you navigate all those types of considerations, like taxes, visas, benefits, accessing healthcare, or have you been on your own for that?
Yes. And also, sorry, for the last question, I was speaking very specifically towards the Czech Republic. I know for like Spain and maybe other countries, you can get hired before you move abroad and they'll pay for your TEFL sometimes, or I don't know. So it really varies. This is just like my experience, but yeah, and for like there's just I know there's programs in Spain, probably other countries where you can do it before you move. And it's probably actually less startup costs, I would say. This I kind of did like on my own, not through a government program, so there were startup costs. But the TEFL course I took, they did help me a lot. It's a really small company, but they're like really used to, and like company I say it's like a school director and then like 6 teachers, like teacher trainers. But they were really helpful in navigating everything. Like they help you find housing. They do like a course on like how to find housing here, which it's pretty easy, a lot easier than the US. Um, and then they have a connection with a visa company. So I paid a visa company to help me get my visa. And because you have to have things in Czech and like translated and all this official stuff. So they did all that work for me and like helped me with that. My visa company also helps me with like once I got my visa, like setting up social taxes, health taxes, and getting like the health insurance. You do have to pay for it. So like pay for the visa company extra. I think I paid them like $300, which sounds like a lot, but uh, it's it's much easier than doing it on your own because if you mess up, like the Czech Ministry of Interior is not gonna they're not gonna have any sympathy for you. And then you have to pay a little bit to apply for your visa, but uh I mean I did it with like everyone else in my TEFL course, so we all like asked each other what was going on, and I knew people from the TEFL program who had already graduated and like helped us. So yeah, I had a lot of help. I would have been able to figure any of this out on my own. And honestly, I'm still like, I don't know, figuring stuff out about like living here like longer. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Mhm.
So I will ask one question, but before that question, so Hannah said she's currently doing a TEFL certification online right now while finishing up a last semester at UTK. So
Yeah.
Hannah, if you'd be kind enough to share your experience with us, that would be so good since you're doing that online. If you just want to tell us that.
Yeah, so I'm a linguistics student. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay,
I can hear
awesome.
you.
Awesome. I am a linguistics student at UTK, and I started getting interested in teaching English because of a class that I took last year. And so I did. Sorry. I got interested in teaching English because of a class that I did last year. And so over winter break, I did a whole bunch of research into different certification programs that I could do specifically while I was finishing up my last semester. And actually Rebecca it's on this page, the International TEFL Academy is where I'm doing my online certification. It's part-time, so I think it's 11 weeks. We're about halfway through right now, but it's basically we cover one chapter a week, and we do readings and responses, and we do like peer participation discussion board type things. And the professor is like, I can't remember which university she works at, but she's like a full-time professor, like that kind of thing. And she does live lectures. And before any of the students can get their full certification at the end of the course, they have to do practicum hours. So kind of like Rebecca was talking about, like getting that real life student teaching experience. And it's been really nice being able to do it online because I can kind of do it in conjunction with the rest of my courses. And I know that somebody earlier was asking about, online versus in person. And I think that if you can find like a good, reputable, like legitimate program online, then it'll be worth the time,
Thank you so much, Hannah. Are you still talking? Okay. Okay, I just want to be sure I did not cut you. Yes. Thank you so much, Anna. I think just thank you for sharing the experience, just so we see the online part and then the in-person as well, as Rebecca has done and all of that. So I have a question for you, Rebecca, and maybe Hannah can chime in as well. It would be, so for instance now, or what would you say about the course content? So if, for instance, there's an international student that English is not their primary language, but they have traveled to the US and they taking English, like they speak English so well, and they're like, they like it and they want to be able to get this experience. Do you think that the course content is good enough? Like, would they be able to do it based on the certification, the teaching and the coaching and all of that? What would be your thoughts with that?
Yeah. I know a lot of non-native English speakers that teach English here and were in my course. Like I was with a Czech girl. I think you have to have, like, if you're familiar with I don't remember what it's called, the European like language breakdown, you have to be a C1 level to get the TEFL. But if you're a C1 in English, you can, I think, take any TEFL course. I know you can take the one I took, but I think any will accept you. Some jobs are like more picky on if they take a non-native speaker or not, but there's definitely a lot of like jobs for non-native speakers. Like I know a lot of people who are Czech or German here and they teach English as their full-time job. So you definitely can do it. Yeah. And honestly, people who are non-native speakers know English grammar better than we do because they learn it so intensely in school. And so like I had to learn more English grammar rules probably than they did, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm going to read what Hannah put in the chat, just
All
since
right, yeah.
yeah. So, or I forgot to mention, lots of online programs have the
Mhm.
kind of advising and assistant that Rebecca was talking about. If that's something that is important to you in determining what kind of course to do. So basically the online courses as well, they have those assistants. So
Mhm.
you can decide if you want to do online or,
Mhm.
or in person, and we just weigh the advantages of both of them. So
Mhm.
I like that we've been able to talk about both experiences just so people know what kind of decision to make, where they are in all of this process. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I also remembered I did have friends who they did an online TEFL course before they came here, and they came at the same time as me, and they still did the language house with me, but only for like job assistance. Like they paid them a much less than I paid them for like a job assistance package, basically just to get connections here in Prague and stuff. But they did their TEFL online. I forgot about them because I don't know, it was back in September, but they did it online, and one of them actually doesn't even teach. He got a different job as soon as he got here. He got a marketing job, but one of them does teach like full time, and he's fine. Like, I mean, he's probably as the same as me. So yeah, teaching on or getting your TEFL online, I think is totally fine. Like he got some extra like practice teaching here through the course I did, and some extra like sessions on methodology and stuff. But yeah, I forgot about that. I did know a few people who got it online.
Thanks for sharing that. I think just going off to or talking about the person that just did not even teach and just came and started work. I think because one of the things I know that students always ask about is, I just want to work abroad. Like, how can I start working abroad? And I know that doing TEFL or doing teaching English abroad is like one of the easiest way of really being able to like go abroad and then work abroad, right? So just you mentioning that again was just a confirmation of what I think students should be aware of. Thank you. Are there any more questions? I have some more questions, but I want to be sure that we're addressing the questions here. There are people here. Okay. So if there's still questions, if you're still thinking about those questions, feel free to put them in the chat. But let's get more. Okay, there's one interesting.
Okay.
Okay, I just want to read it out for people that I will be recording.
Yeah.
So, are most teaching jobs for young kids or adults, or are there secondary school options available as well?
Yes, good question. Yeah, you can teach in any school. I don't know what I want to do next year. I might teach at the same places, but I was looking into teaching at a secondary school, which can mean either like middle school here or high school. I was looking into doing like more middle school age, but there's a lot of secondary school options as well. Some of the secondary schools want you to have like a degree in teaching, but some don't. There's not as many opportunities, but there are, especially if you do have a degree in teaching, but there's a few even if you don't. Yeah, especially more middle school, but secondary school there is. I've also taught like gap year students, like around 19 or 20. They take like sometimes take a gap year and they take English classes and like work part-time. I've taught them. So it's more common usually to teach kids and adults, but I've taught middle school before classes, and I know people who do teach in secondary and middle school.
Thank you for that. So I was just gonna ask some more like other questions, maybe more not particular about the program, but like more about your experience. So what would you say is like the greatest challenge in all of this process in teaching English abroad, in getting there, in getting settled in? What would you say is one of the challenges, or two, or as many as you want to share with us today?
Yeah.
Experience.
I mean, it's especially the first part, like it's challenging just to like move anywhere new, especially a new country. I mean, it wasn't challenging to find an apartment really, but like it was stressful finding an apartment because there's nowhere else I could have stayed. Doing all the visa and the paperwork stuff is stressful. I mean, I have someone that like does really the hard work for me, but I still had to get like documents from my landlord and other documents, and then I had to like go to a different country to apply for it and all this. So that can be stressful. I mean, yeah, the course itself was stressful during it, but it was still like fun. Like I made a lot of friends in the course, and so we all worked together a lot, but it was also new. I mean, sometimes work can be stressful, like little kids can be really annoying, but they can also be really cute. It depends on the day. So, yeah, I don't know. It's been it's been like pretty easy to like make friends here. Like there's a lot of American expats, but even like I've been have a lot more friends who aren't Americans now, and like it's been easy to make friends with like other Europeans here. People are like really nice and like welcoming. Um yeah, maybe yeah, it's like challenging to like figure out your schedule sometimes because if you're doing the part-time route, like piecing things together and like what times you have available and making sure you're not like spending 5 hours on the tram a day commuting, which is why I do online a lot. But yeah.
Yeah. So how was your experience teaching adults? Did you have to teach like people that were way older than you are? And was that weird or different? How was that?
Yeah. I teach adults. I've taught people a lot older than me. When I did student teaching and when I was still like in the TEFL program, it was all adults and it was groups. So like anywhere from like 2 to maybe 8 adults. Which it was terrifying at first. I was very scared and would like almost cry before I had to teach a little bit. But the adults are like, I mean, they were used to like student teachers. They've done these before. They're very nice. Like, I mean, they're not gonna like yell at you for something. Sometimes they do correct you. Like when I was first teaching, like if I would see someone, they would like get a grammar piece wrong in English and like the student would correct them. So that's funny. But doing a like teaching in the real world now, like I usually only do individuals with adults. I do one group, but it's pretty, I don't know, it's kind of, I get a little nervous before I get a new student just because I don't know them. I've never seen them before. I know nothing about them, but all the adult students I have right now, I really like they're all really nice, like pretty easygoing. Like, I mean, I prepare lessons and like have good lessons, but like if I mess up, it's like not a big deal. Like, I don't know. Some people want more serious lessons, like really business English, and I kind of stayed away from that doing business English because I just like, I don't know, doing more fun things and lessons. But yeah, a lot of people are like really nice and like they're just thankful to like have a lesson from a native speaker. Like people really value being like a native speaker here. So it's good now. You overcome the fear of teaching adults and people older than you. And honestly, they're more like forgiving than kids are, more like they're nicer than kids are.
Yes, yeah, that's a good point. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. So on the flip side, what's your favorite part about teaching English abroad?
Yeah, honestly, just like living here, like I love living in Prague. It's a great city and it like blows my mind every day that I live here. I love like the friends I've made here. Like I've said it a few times, but like I've gotten to meet so many cool people from other countries and learn about other countries and more like European history. And I feel like I've just learned stuff about the world that I never would get in the US. Like I feel like I was very not closed-minded, but I've been exposed to so much more here. Like there's life outside the US, there's problems outside of the US, and it's like, it's really cool. And I don't know, it just makes the world feel like so much bigger. But yeah, so I've really enjoyed that. I enjoy public transportation and not having to like drive places. I enjoy how easy it is to travel and how cheap it is to travel to other places. Like I did like a skiing trip here and I paid like $5 for a bus ride to go to the mountains to ski. I mean, skiing costed, but like it's really cheap to travel to other cities in the Czech Republic or to like other cities in other countries. Flying, I mean, obviously flying can be expensive. It can be cheap, but yeah, I think all of that. And also I enjoy like the kids I teach, like they teach me so much about like Czech culture and like what they do as kids, and it's so like sometimes they're so funny and like know the weirdest things about like America or English, and like, but I really enjoy like the fifth graders like who can talk to me. They like will just like say the funniest things and like ask stuff about America and are like, oh, like what? Like that's so weird or something, and it's really funny.
Yeah, all right, that's interesting. Thank you for sharing. I know kids can be very, very interesting. They're one of like the
Yeah.
great set of people to learn about culture from, because they're just telling as it is and not filtering anything. So that could be very interesting and funny. So
Yeah.
I have another question. If you still have questions, please put it in the chat. We'll still gladly take all of these questions. So it's like a two-part question. Do you think your engineering background has a role to play in all of this, or is helpful in all of this? And the other part is, what would you say to someone that has never taught before or is not even learning linguistics or English, is just maybe doing engineering like you or doing something else entirely? What would be your advice to that person?
Yeah, I think I don't really use a lot in engineering now, but some people want to hire you for your background here, like would want me to teach other engineers here because I know like the speak or like the words they need to know. I don't do that because I don't know. I haven't really had much of the opportunity, and I'm not that interested in engineering anymore, so it's fine. But I learned a lot of like good like study and school skills with engineering because it's pretty like rigorous, and that helped me to like do well in my like teaching classes. And now like, I mean, I can like manage my time while here, like because I saw it feels kind of like homework, but I have to like lesson plan, like plan for your lessons you're going to teach. It's kind of like homework, so like managing that and then teaching for that I feel like has been helpful. My advice for people who have never taught before is anyone can do it. I truly think that because I did I know so many teachers here, and like everyone majored in something different, something totally unrelated to teaching or related to teaching, and all of us were like on a level playing field. Like my flatmate now, actually, like we did the course together, she majored in teaching, like that was her degree. She came over here and did the TEFL, and like we were on like the same playing field, like knew the same amount, like had the same amount of experience, did this like we're the same amount of prepared for our student teaching lessons. So I think truly anyone can do it. If you're not more outgoing and like good at public speaking, it can be terrifying at first, but like after you do like 2 lessons, you are good with it. And I mean, they give you such a framework of how to teach. Also, when you're teaching, you're really not supposed to talk that much. You're supposed to have the students talking in the language class. So the less you talk is actually the better, which is hard for some people to learn. But yeah, my advice is like just to do it, even if your degree is not related to it. And it's like so wonderful that there's like the opportunity to literally train for 4 weeks and then teach. Like, it kind of is crazy to me sometimes that like it only took 4 weeks and like now I'm like a teacher. Like, obviously someone who went to college for that probably has more like methodology like that they know, and like more history, that kind of thing. But yeah, I really think it can be for anyone. And again, it can be like a temporary thing. It's not like a life commitment to teach. Like, you can try it. I think that with any job though, it's not really a life commitment. You can just try it and it's fine. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Are there any other questions? I don't have more questions, but are there any other? Okay, do you have final words for us, Rebecca? Like, is this like, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add? And
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, if anyone has more questions, like I am in this Facebook group. So you can like post questions in the Facebook group, or you can find me in there and message me, or I don't know if my name is on the website. I don't know. If you find me somehow or my email, feel free to ask me more questions individually. But yeah, if it's something you're interested in, I would recommend it, like just taking like the leap and doing it. Like, it's scary and feels like a big thing, but I don't know, it was like a great decision for me, and I'm really glad. I would have regretted it my whole life if I hadn't tried to like live abroad. So I think it's a cool thing. And again, you don't have to do it forever. You can do it for a few years and come back to the US. Everything in the US will still be there. Well, hopefully, I don't know. Probably.
I like that. Hopefully, probably, yes, right. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Thank you so much. I'm gonna stop recording now, but
Okay.
I just let me stop recording.